Hello YouTube, the Eye of Stone here. At long last, we have arrived in the Forbidden Woods. There's no totems here. No buried treasure. Well, let's not try anything showy here. We have the equipment, the firepower to do this. Let's just not be foolish about it. Let's follow the path. There's some kind of settlement up ahead. I don't think it's going to be like the ones we're used to. I somehow doubt there's going to be a bell here. I must report to the Lord Governor. Who are you? I am Clement Wright. James Markley sent you after his daughter Allison. I remember seeing her flee into the woods. I wanted to go after her, but I was wounded. Unlock the ambush site destination. Alright. The clapper is missing. It must be replaced before the bell will ring. Dug up a blood-stained strip of cloth. It appears to have come from a woman's gown, even though it looks like a pistol powder horn. The remains of a man who seems to have been killed with an Indian arrow. It's just... Alright. Found a scrap of bright red cloth stuck to a tree by an Indian arrow. Alright. So there's healing at the ambush site. This is a blighted, fell place. Let's proceed to the settlement. Well, so ungodly powers that be here weren't happy to see me. That was quite the welcome wagon. I only survived that because I had explosives. Okay. Good. We badly need that. Great. There's an impressive looking Indian headdress. Good. We need those explosives. Because those elk or deer wraiths are hard to stop. Looks like John Howe managed to get here. Or if he's still alive. Alright. Well, there's no bell. There's no bell and there's no totems. To use resources intelligently. There's really nothing to do but put the clues together. Okay. Not sure where to put the bell. Let's just make sure we didn't miss anything here at the village. It's going to be why is this hut so far apart from the others? Duelist's pistol. Let's see, 130, 150. Wow. That's good. Does even more damage than the musket. Maybe that will take some of the wind out of the sails of those horrible deer things. Keep this ready in case one of them shows up, but don't waste it on a skeleton. If you transition from this to the commander's musket, I think that will probably suffice to keep one of those deer from getting on top of you. Those Wendigo deer. I thought you might need this. Thought you might need what? It appears that someone was burnt here. Exceptional charm of vigor. Problem is the undead spawn randomly. They're not like the native revenants or the conquistadors in the daylit world. Of course, playing monochrome all the time is the characteristic way to play this game, but I find it a lot harder to do. And the game is just less rewarding. You're less able to get the drop on anybody, and you just don't do as well in combat. It's just sort of a needless handicap. This game isn't what I would call easy. So, if you can pull it off like that, it will have sufficient lethality to stop them. I have a bad feeling about this, but here we are. This is Tibithia. Clapper for a bell. Charred remains of a woman are visible through the flames. Strangely, there's no heat from the fire, though the stench is horrific. This is the source of the curse. There's nothing we can do right now, apparently. Okay. That was the thief. Wow. Well, my financial situation is going to be resolved. Boy. That freak tanked a lot of hits. Managed to take quite a bite out of me. Now, as I've mentioned before, we're going to have to go back and visit all the wraiths one more time. That task is going to present a nightmare for me in editing because of some of the dysfunctionality I'm dealing with from this game. You're not really seeing much of it in this final product, obviously, but I have had operating this game has not been free of incidents or complications. So you might notice some seams in the final product. Hopefully it'll all go the way I'm hoping it goes, and you won't have to put up with what I'm going to have to put up with to make it happen, which is the way it's supposed to be. So the exceptional crossbow does 110 damage and has a 5% chance to deflect. The guardsman does 150 and has a 0 chance to deflect. Alright, so again, our financial problems are going to be solved and we're going to be decked out extraordinarily well when I sell out all my unnecessary weapons. We will have sufficient funds to complete this campaign and bring this matter to its necessary conclusion. 150, wow. Alright, and it's stealthy. It's a rifle. High-powered crossbows are basically rifles. The bolt loses energy quicker, but immediately upon being loosed, it's a rifle. Anybody? Canst thou continue with a foot of steel in thy gut? $300 damage, I mean, it's too much for anything to tank. Good. Now, let's go back to the village and see if I can install the bell. Alright, there is something to do here. We'll hang on to that for the time being. I'm not exactly poor and it might be necessary for the final fight. this broken arrow the one that injured you? I suppose it is. I remember my leg suddenly giving way. I didn't feel the pain till I was lying on the ground, staring at the bloody shaft that had torn through my knee. I had to break it off to pull it out. I found this powder flask near the remains of a man who died nearby. I remember Simon Holt pouring powder into the barrel of his musket, reloading as fast as he could. Then he went stiff and fell sideways, an arrow in his throat. I found the scrap of cloth stuck to an arrow near here. Allison was fleeing into the woods. An arrow caught her cloak and pinned her to a tree. She yanked herself free and kept running. I wanted to go after her, but I was wounded. I must tell the Lord Governor. Perhaps if I rest here a while, I can make it back to Fort Hope. I found a woman burning to the west. I know nothing of it. Okay. So. Basically, I will see everybody back at Fort Hope. Hang on a minute. Okay, here we are back at Fort Hope. Allison, we need to talk. Something has happened. You reek of smoke, of scorched hair and charred flesh. I found a woman burning in a blighted forest far to the west. I remember she was weeping smoke from empty eyes as the flames consumed her, her flesh blackening and cracking from the heat. Clement Wright said an arrow pinned your cloak to a tree as you fled into the woods. I remember him calling Simon's name as we crept through the forbidden wilds. I turned and saw 3 soldiers coming toward us, and knew my father had sent them to bring us back. I hissed at them to be silent, lest they reveal us to the Indians. But then Simon asked them why they were carrying Indian weapons, and I realized they didn't come to bring us back. It was Clement's arrow that pinned my cloak to a tree. It was my arrow that wounded him. The others were all dead, so I left him there and went to find my sister. Is this Tabithia's arrowhead pendant? Yes. She wore it always, though she was careful to keep it hidden from our father, knowing he wouldn't approve. I found it near the burning woman. She wasn't burning when I found her. What happened? I remember staggering through the woods, faint from fear and grief, knowing she was near, for her sorrow called to me. I remember I stumbled and fell. I think I cried out, for the ground was strewn with dead birds. I looked around me and beheld the rotting carcasses of rabbits and deer and other beasts of the woods. And then I saw an Indian child and her mother clinging to each other in death. Beyond them were more corpses, their flesh blackened, their eyes clouded, their faces twisted in fear. I forced myself to walk despite my horror, picking my way among the dead, choking on the stench of corruption. At last I saw a pillar ahead of me. Someone was bound to it, a woman, head lolled forward, her naked body stained with the blood that spilled across her. I knew at once it was Tabithia. I stood before her, reeling from the ache of her despair and my own. I raised her face and saw that her throat had been cut open. I looked around at all the helpless creatures, beasts and men, drawn by the ache of her suffering, and then drowned by it. I could feel the darkness spreading out from her, feeding on the hope it swallowed up. I knew it would never stop, that it would only grow more ravenous. I wept for a long time, then I began to gather branches and pile them at the base of the pillar. I said a prayer and lit a fire, feeding the clothing that had been stripped from her into the flames. As the flames rose up and consumed her, my prayers became pleas. As her flesh blackened and cracked from the heat and dark smoke streamed from her eyes, I begged her to find peace. I begged her to let go of her torment before it consumed us all. And then I felt her anguish become anger. The ache of betrayal became the shrieking of scorn and vengeance. The trees withered, and all that her fury touched turned to cinders. The dead things and the living were burned away. Those who had hurt her, those who had abandoned her, those who had loved her, all except me. I have a gift for you. What is it? This is the arrowhead your sister wore as a pendant. Why are you giving this to me? To remind you of Tabithia's happiness. That is most thoughtful of you. This bloody arrow that wounded Clement Wright. Why are you giving me this foul thing? To remind you of courage. It is a well-intended thought, though you might have rinsed it first. This scrap of cloth from your cloak. Why are you giving it to me? In case you wanted to patch the tear. I already have, but it was thoughtful of you. This Indian headdress. Why are you giving it to me? Now, let's catch up with the notes. All that's good and well, but it doesn't answer anything. I sort of got behind on this. Long history with this bell. Well, we have collected a vast amount of forensic and written evidence. We've done a lot of field interviews. We've dug a lot of things up. We have defeated a lot of opposition from the environment, from hostile third parties. We've examined a lot of crime scenes. This has been a very Alright, we're going to end up going through all these anyway. Alright. Now then. Now, each wraith basically needs to either be released from their pain or condemned to eternal torment for their crimes. And unfortunately, it is a job I do not want or relish that falls to me. So, each wraith will be evaluated individually. You are James Markley, and basically you were found at Fort Hope. You're the husband of Philippa Markley, father of Allison Markley, father of Tabithia Markley. You killed your wife by binding her to a tree to be mauled by beasts. He claims it was punishment for lying to him. Disowned Tabithia for running off to the Indians. In so doing, you're really the one who brought this doom on the entire colony and the Native Americans. Clement Wright attacked Allison and Simon. I knew at once they had gone into the Forbidden Wilds, even though I forbade it. I sent those men to make sure they didn't return, for I feared what they might bring back with them. What did you fear they would bring back? The doom of our colony. It's a doom you caused. Allison found Tabithia in the Forbidden Wilds. When Tabithia vanished, I rode into the woods to search for her. I found her on her way to their village. It did not take long to get the truth from her. She was tied naked to a post. I stripped away her clothing so that the swell of her belly might be clearly observed. A child sewed by a savage she gave herself to willingly. You cut her throat? Yes, so that the shame she brought upon me might be ended. I left her there so that the tribe would know we would sooner kill our women than let them be touched by the savages, even our own daughters. Okay. So... apparently... Apparently I'm confused about what part of the process I've arrived at. I was frightened to move here, but I found I was happier here than Fort St. George, for a while at least. Your father sent Clement Wright to kill you and Simon. But why? Why would my own father do such a thing? He claims he feared you would bring back the doom of the colony. Then perhaps he was right. Perhaps I did. What if this is all my fault? Your father killed Tabithia. I feared you would say that. I think I already knew. I felt her dying. So much pain, so much fear. But she was so desperate to live. She was pregnant. Oh God. But how can that be? She never told me. I suppose that's why she was crying. She didn't think I could understand. And so she ran away knowing she couldn't stay here. That must be why Father was so angry. Why he couldn't just bring her home. He must have blamed Mother. He must have told himself that it was her fault that he had to kill Tabithia. What about Tabithia? I believe her torment is feeding off the fear and anguish of those who remain here. Freeing the race you have met may help to quell her wrath. Is there some way you can convince them to let go of that which keeps them here? You must try. If you choose to go to her without releasing them, I expect you will find it a harder task to reason with her. As far as I'm concerned, this entire thing is your fault. You must not remain here any longer. I wish Philippa had come to me with the truth when there was still time to save Tabithia. I wish I could look up from my desk and see my daughters in the doorway, both of them the good girls they once were, loyal and dutiful to their father, not led by weakness or selfishness into folly or betrayal. I wish there had been no cause to punish them. So, I could say you cannot change what happened, let go of the anger and sorrow that bind you here, and be at peace. You destroyed your family to protect your pride, yet it was for naught. You will be remembered as a cowardly murderer. Let your savagery curse you to torment. James Markley has been condemned to torment. That one was easy. Frankly. Unfortunately, so is this one. Oswin Ford, you must not remain here any longer. I wish Roger Ermey had picked a different man to torment with his insults and scorn, or that they had not stung me so keenly, anything so that Isabel never had cause to pick up her father's blade and come for me. Had you not murdered Roger Ermey for mere insult, she would never have cause to crave vengeance. Let your cowardice curse you to torment. And you hung her yourself. Screw you. Okay, I'm not trying to be as hard as I possibly could be, but some of these cases are just too easy. You must not remain here any longer. I wish I could have seen Oswin Ford die in front of me. I want to watch the blood flow out of him like the blood flowed out of my father. I want him to pay for what he did. It is futile to wish for things that didn't come to pass. Release the anger and sorrow that bind you here and be at peace. Isabel Emery is at peace. Okay. Now, getting out into all the various locations where these folks are hanging around involves traveling through the other world and listening to those terrifying sounds. Well, what about it? We're on official court business right now. Stand not in my way, ghoul. There's no point rushing. This is going to be a long, difficult process. I'd like to review the entire facts of every case one more time, but I can only do that if I remember the wraith's name. Once you begin the proceedings, you have to finish them. These noises are terrifying. Roger, Remy. I can sever the bonds that keep you here and set you free. I wish I could wipe away my daughter's tears, that I could see her smiling and carefree like she was before we came here. It is useless to wish for things to be other than they were. Release the guilt and worry that bind you here and be at peace. Stupid of you to tease that guy, but the fact that you were teasing him alone is not a capital offense. It might be something for you to learn for your next round, but it would be different. Not necessarily. Teasing is never a capital offense, but it can lead to bad things. But your daughter certainly did not deserve to die like that. And her grievance was just, this colony is a lawless place. There's no one who could claim she couldn't have taken it into her own hands without hypocrisy. Undead are not going to disrupt the court proceedings. We will have order from the left, and we will have order from the right. Now, don't let me leave without digging up all the buried treasure. You will all come to order. You are Philippa. Philippa Markley. You must not remain here any longer. I wish I could sit beside my daughter's bedside again, humming the lullaby I sang since they were children. I wish I could brush the hair from their faces and watch them sleep, and that when I woke in the morning they would both still be there. You cannot change what has already come to pass. Release the anguish that binds you here to be at peace. Alright. This job has to be done right. But I'm not seeking to be harsher than is necessary. It's going to be harsh enough as it is. So, let's see. Isabel, Philippa, and Roger are at peace. James Markley and the whatever the guy's name who cheated on the duel were condemned. I've been merciful 3 times and stern twice. Alright. Now, don't let me leave without scanning for buried treasures. We got all of them here. Okay. We're now free to proceed to the next area. Hello, YouTube. We're here. Back at the outlying settlement. We are. It is necessary to repel Spanish attack. They do not see fit to allow my return to this area to institute law and order. Therefore, they will be destroyed. I don't want any interruptions. Alright, now we're here in the outlying settlement. I want to see if we can go back into, before going into the other world and initiating the proceedings. Well, that's not going to work. Alright. It's a question of how thorough was I when I did all this. You must not remain here any longer. I wish I'd had the courage to kill Jeffrey Hunt after the first time I saw him hurt Catherine. I wish I could watch him writhing on the ground, grasping at the stone knife in the base of his neck, his eyes wide with disbelief and fear, both of us knowing he would never hurt her again. Well, if someone were picking on my sibling, I would probably have done what you did. was an abuser, and she fell into the common trap of protecting him. Be at peace. They call him Judge. His last name is Dread. So break the law and you'll wind up undead. Bring peace with my lawgiver. How'd that work out for y'all? You guys happy now? Sergeant D cometh, and thou art on his list. Catherine Archard, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I had never made anyone angry, that no one ever had to hurt me. You cannot change what happened. Let go of the guilt and shame that bind you here and be in peace. Your lack of dignity brought misery upon you. Let your weakness curse you to torment? No. Be at peace. That was the 5th person I put at peace. I have so far only condemned 2. Alright. Honestly, to be honest, it's probably safer here in the other world. I'm not saying that it's safe, but it's probably safer. Because we would have, I think by the numbers, we would have more conquistadors and native revenants to deal with than undead, because we cleansed the corruption from the other world. So it's not like it's a zero thing, but actually, I think it's easier to recover the buried treasure and assess our court costs, our court fees in the other world, than it is in the daylit world. That's just more valuables for less fighting. Not no fighting. I didn't say no fighting. I said less fighting. See, this crossbow is both stealthy and it's generally speaking a one-shot, one-kill situation. Okay. You never know what charm you might pull out of the ground. I mean, it's always handy to have a lot of money for extra ammo, but I'll actually have been well compensated for my trouble, but quality charm of soldiery. Well, I don't need it, but trickster's pistol. Okay. We'll save this for the final fight. Grace isn't going to matter in that situation. But it does here. Alright, we will proceed back to Fort St. George. Alright, here we are at Fort St. George. Dug up rusty iron shackles. Huh. We will have order in the court. No media inquiries. Hey, you. Charity Hammond, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I could see Emma through the congregation in front of the church. I want our eyes to meet and for us to smile at each other. Not shouting, no shouting or chanting or screams. I even wish I could see her heavy with child, because any infant would be a gift in this place. Any joy would be a blessing. You cannot unmake your choices. Let the guilt that binds you here and be at peace. Remember Emma's screams and let your selfishness curse you to torment. You're the one who caused her to hang. Oh. That's 3 to torment. Now, as for you, Captain Calvin Stevens, you must also not remain here any longer. I wish I could call to my wife and see her waving to me, but this time the horse doesn't scream and rear up, and Winifred is still beaming when I reach her. This time, even if Emma is there at the fence, there's no blood on her hands. All our hands are clean. I take a dim view of your values, sir. However, in context, you were a member of a community, and you behaved in line with the standards of that community. You cannot change what happened. Let go and be at peace. I didn't like sending him to peace, but he was just a neutral lawman who ended up with a lot of regrets. Emma Clark, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I could walk back from the woods beside Tobias with no cause for guilt or fear. As his wife and not his shameful secret, I wish our children could run beside us laughing. It's futile to pine for what could never be. Be at peace. That makes 7 people at peace versus 3 to torment. This is a court of mercy, by and large. These colonists were not spectacular people, and they're all guilty of messing up the Indians. But I am trying each case individually. Let's use the fence. Tobias Hammond, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I could take it all back. That I could say that Emma is no witch and that she did nothing wrong. That the guilt is all mine. Anything to have heard her screams. This is a tricky one. Let's see. False accusation of witchcraft that you made is what caused her to hang or be burnt or whatever they did to her. Probably both. Your regret may be sincere, but you are a murderer. That was a situation where, again, I take no pleasure in it, but the job has to be done right. There are people in this colony who need to not be let off easy. It might have been different if she had killed herself, but she was executed because of that lie. Because of a false accusation. False witness against your neighbor. Champion's Limo. Where are you? Okay. It's a simple solution to this. Okay, on to the sentry post. All right, here we are at the sentry post. Now you Samuel Mallard, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I could meet that girl in the woods again, only this time we just pass her by. If she stares at me, it's curiosity and not because I hurt her. And I wish that I could look up from my whittling and see the captain coming through the gate with his arms full of firewood. You callously shattered a girl's innocence and caused her life to be cut short, then doomed a man to terror and death for a blunder he greatly regretted. Yeah, you are a rapist and a murderer. Forget it. No. Again, that was a relatively easy case. The mood of the court. That one was relatively easy. So far, we're 5 to torment and 7 at peace. This is be about our business. We're not here for search and destroy missions. The other world is gonna be the other world. Richard Wilkinson, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I could look across the yard and see all the men gathered around their fires, joking, arguing, or sulking, but alive. If only I had chosen their lives over pride and honor. Well, anyone in a position of command can make a mistake. You're not going to bat 1,000. Be at peace. This is an annoying... Need to blast these rocks down with artillery. They're in my way. Isaac Cantrell, you must not remain here any longer. I wish that girl had run away at the sight of us, that she had known to fear dogs such as us. I wish she was safe with her family. Yeah, I'm not able to go easy on rapists and rapist murderers. 6 to torment, 8 at peace. There's buried treasure here. Sentry's crossbow. 50, 20. Close, but there would be greatly more combat if I were to do this in the daylight world. Greatly more combat. There's not none here. Anyway, I'll be all practiced up for the final battle, which will be a doozy. Exceptional charm of swiftness. That is kind of timid. Actually. Dare say we've got a lot of weapons and a lot of money. Oh, look at this. My mistake. Sweet. Well, it's nice to have something to spend your money on. It's stealthy, you see. Okay. We will be heading back to Fort Henry. Okay, here we are back at Fort Henry, where this whole thing began. William Eastgrove, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I had found my son a moment sooner, that his fingers had still been warm when I pried the pistol from his hands, that I could have handed over a chastened boy to his mother rather than laying a corpse at her feet. I wish I could find Martha on a hillside on a warm and pleasant morning. I want her to be smiling and for us to sit side by side, holding each other's hands and talking about her son who is not dead. Dare say you have suffered enough. Be at peace. Gregory Ward, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I could listen to Edmund playing his flute by the cook fire. I wish he hadn't seen me as he came around Dodds Hill. If only I saw him first and hid in the shrubs until he passed. If only I didn't kill him. You are a Cain who slew your Abel over sectarian nonsense. To hide a monstrous sin, you committed a worse one. Let your selfishness curse you to torment. You're a traitor and a fanatic. We're at 7 condemned to torment and 9 at peace. I'm a moderate judge. I'm not a Texan, insanely tough law and order judge. I'm also not an activist, pro-criminal, so-called judge. I'm neither. And it's probably just going to be a 50-50 by the time I'm done. I would like to think that I would tend towards the mercy, but it just depends. What I would like isn't the point. This is a responsibility. And these undead are going to find it ponderously difficult to even slow me down. Circuit Court has arrived at your location. Martha Eastgrove, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I could hold my son again. I want to hear him call to me. I want to see him running through the tall grass, laughing, his hair golden in the bright sunlight. Be at peace. We're now at 10 at peace versus 7 to torment. I have a hunch. Oh, that took me even further away. God's Hill. There we go. Alas, we are not the Dragonborn. As usual, another reload cycle that didn't complete. Edmund, goddamn, you must not remain here any longer. I wish I could be the one to tell Captain Yeasgrove of the Spaniards to have him praise me for my service to the colony. How anyone could condemn you to torment is beyond me, but for goodness sakes, be at peace. That's 11. That may, fortunately, have been the last one. The last time I had to do this job. Oh, yes. Come here. That's the thief. Come on then. Let's make an end of it. I'm gonna go this way. I don't know what I was confused about. So I was able to put, let's see, 4 more people at peace than condemn. We're at 11 versus 7. Captain's pistol. 140 versus 150. No, but it's valuable. Very valuable. I think I might have hit that guy between the legs. Not intentionally, but that's what happens when you bum rush me. Sharpshooter's musket. Well, now, wait a minute. Commander's musket 140, sharpshooter's musket 130. Huh. No, the commander's musket is the best. 'Tis better to dispatch enemies in the daylit world with a stealthy crossbow now, because the report of musket shot can cause other people to come after you. Alright, so now believe we have put everybody where they're going to be. Again, if I shoot first and don't miss, I shoot last. So, we need to try to verify that, because I don't want a gargantua of a fight when a mere behemoth is all that I need to do. Let's see. There may be stuff left to do in the last level. Alright. I will see you all back in the Forbidden Forest again.